Hi everyone, I'm Steve. You can reach me at stevemain.com if you want to talk to me about anything. Here with Brian Sanchez. Brian Sanchez, personal trainer in Carson City at Fitness for 10. You can check out Fitness for 10 online. How's it going, Brian?
All's going well. How's everybody doing out there today?
So let's talk about HIIT. What HIIT is, high intensity interval training. There's many ways to do it. There's many theories on it. So what's HIIT?
Well, I think HIT can be confusing sometimes. I think for most people, what HIT is some kind of exercise program that has exertion and then short rest periods and exertion back and forth. And for HIT, when you look at it more in the traditional sense, I believe, if my understanding is, HIT really came around hard. I don't when the track and field realm started putting it to work to really build the athletes up to perform at a higher level. And so HIT has a real good base in the whole cardio world where you're using treadmills at high intensities, short breaks, and running. And you're basically taking your 1 hour endurance run, if you will, and you're getting a better, in theory, workout in 20 or 30 minutes under a HIT concept because your body's burning calories for a long time well after it. Now, obviously, if you want to be a marathon runner, HIT isn't necessarily your best avenue. When you're looking at HIT, how it's applied today, well, it's kind of changed from the whole let's run and do this and been brought into the mainstream of all that we do in the fitness industry, where we do a lot of weight bearing exercises along with it, under the theories of explosive effort, short rest, explosive effort, short rest. And then you're going to see some programs where, you'll have some kind of circuit put together and somebody might call it HIT. But is it truly HIT? And are you really getting the benefit of that big burn? You'll see companies out there. There's some gyms out there that are really going through these things, and they're designing programs so you have that excessive post oxygen consumption. For all of us, we've heard the acronym EPOC, and where they're looking for the long term burn after the workout as the body's stabilizing itself, and you continue to burn calories well after the workout. Well, I think you are getting some pretty good HIT work when you're doing that. But there's a certain thing that's going on when they're doing these types of things, or if what I view HIT, if I'm working with you, I'm trying to push you during your effort phase of the repetition, if you will, or the repetitions. I'm trying to, during that effort phase, really get your heart rate quite a bit high. We're talking 80, 90% of your abilities, so that you're really moving that body well. And then in that rest period, we kind of want you to tone down and get your rest period down. And so the interval between effort and rest is going to be different based on your ability to train and how fit you are. You might have a quicker recovery period. You might be a 15-second rest with a 45-second burst, where somebody could be a 1 minute. We don't know. The idea being is we want you to get to the point in these to where, when you're doing this with your rest period, that effort phase should be as hard as it can be for you. And it's not impossible, but it's extreme effort. An example of, let's just say, and I'm just going to use numbers just to show the idea. If you're working with me, we're going to do HIT training. We're going to use different kinds of exercises. In the exercise, I'm going to have you pumping for 40 seconds, and you're going to keep going as hard as you can. It's not whether or not we reach 15 reps. It's whether or not you're going into this and you're smoking yourself. Then in your rest period, we're kind of keeping an eye on your heart rate, things like that. But as soon as we turn around off of that rest period, let's say we're using a 40-20 split, 40 seconds on, 20 seconds off, because that's what your body is at. If we're using that, when we come back up after that rest, you're just getting that rest in, and then boom, we're right back to that massive attack in that 40-second phase. Lots of science behind this. Lots of doctors will tell you what's happening during that time. There's optimum things going on where they want heart rates down for a certain reason, heart rates up for a certain reason. Not going to get into that. That actually is way beyond my ability to really discuss. I just know how to put it together and use it as a trainer. Again, not a doctor. Steve's pretty close to it. I'm not even there. But the nice thing about
But just so you know, Brian, I'm like the doctor of nothing.
yeah, exactly.
I have a special degree.
Well, I can fix anything and anybody with a hot butter knife and duct tape. That makes me a doctor, right? Okay. Anyways, so I think you have to kind of find your way with this HIIT stuff. If you want the traditional program, please do your research because there is a lot of information. There's a difference between aerobic style HIIT, where oxygen is helping produce that energy and you're running, where anaerobic, where the muscles are working differently in an anaerobic state where we're using weight bearing exercises, and the muscles are creating a different energy sources or bringing in the energy in a different way. I would think that if I'm a fighter, my HIIT training is going to be focused on cardio style and weight bearing exercises because I want my muscles to be able to go for a long time. I want them to be in strength, fight ability for a long time. But if I'm a marathon runner, I might have a completely different philosophy of that. You can use workouts. You can do split workouts in HIIT training where you're focusing on certain zones. A lot of the HIIT stuff you see on the weight bearing side, they're doing total body workouts from what I see in our theater. Obviously, everything when you're doing HIIT training is it's not about maximum weightlifting. This is about using light weights and burning the house down when you're lifting. But you have plenty of options with it. I don't think you should be afraid of it. Just remember that you want to look into this stuff because just because it says it's a HIIT training program, it doesn't mean you are. And it's really important for people to understand. HIIT's really, really good for weight loss programs. You will burn a lot of calories, but you want to make sure your heart rate's getting up there safely and getting up there enough to really get the benefit. The big benefit in my eyes to the HIIT trainees is it gives you a huge workout in a short amount of time, but you continue to burn calories longer once the body starts stabilizing after the workout. And you can burn for quite a while after, and that's where you get your big calorie burn. So that's my spiel on HIIT.
Yeah, I would just give some examples like, look, we've all done this. If you've played any high school sports or college sports for sure, an example of HIIT would be wind sprints. If you're on the football team, you do wind sprints, right? If you're on the basketball team, you do liners. What do you do in between the liners? You rest. You breathe hard. You let your heart rate come back down. But it just wasn't called HIIT back then. And you think about it, it makes sense because it relates to the sport. That's what football is. You explode for 5 seconds, the play's over. You walk back to the huddle. You're catching your breath while you're in the huddle, and then you go do it again. Basketball is similar, but the intervals are different. It's high intensity. If you're doing something high intensity, now you're doing it for an interval. Basketball is a little different because the intervals are longer. But if you look at football, the intervals, there's more than two types of intervals. It's not just explode and rest. Football, if you're a wide receiver, you explode down the field, you jog back to the huddle, you stop, you put your hands on your knees, you catch your breath. Basketball is the same thing. you run back and forth up the court, you bend your knees, and it's a different exertion level when you're covering someone or you're playing offense. And then there's a timeout, or, the ball is dead and you stop and you walk or you rest. There's other ways to do it, and there's so many variables. What's your age? The way I do high intensity interval training is going to be different now at my age than when I was 20. Those intervals were intense when I was playing college sports. But now, it could be calisthenics and then rest. More calisthenics, and it's the old stuff we used to do in high school: mountain climbers, burpees, jumping jacks, and then you rest or walk, and then you do it again. You can even do it with different types of ab work, and you can do it in the gym. You can do high intensity interval training. But the key is, I just wanted to give some examples, because those are some different ways you can do it, and ways that probably people have done it, just didn't know that's what it was called.
Right, and I think it's important to give those examples because it's not just cardio. And I know a lot of people might think also that HIIT comes from treadmills. And what they got to remember is when you're in an all-out sprint, that's not endurance phase, or like you were saying, 100-yard dashes. That is HIIT interval programs that get you ready for that, because your body has to burst and has to develop that, and that's where that comes from. And for us, we will create these programs, like in weightlifting programs, let's just say, because I do more of the weightlifting side, that we will create that environment with everything we have in this facility, whether it be basic calisthenics, whether it be using weights, whether you set up 4 or 5 different exercises and roll circuits and create it on those intervals as a HIIT style. Just because you're doing circuits does not mean you're doing HIIT training. You have got to make sure you understand what you're doing. If you're looking to do it overweight, like I might do a compound lift where I'm mixing body parts, let's say, or a superset where I'm staying on the same one and do 2 or 3 different exercises. That doesn't mean it's HIIT. That just means I'm putting things together just to really wear down the muscle groups. On the HIIT side, I am absolutely, without question, giving it everything I got for a specific split, and then resting, and then going right back at it. And it's going to be harder, if not too hard, if that makes sense. To me, that's a better HIIT philosophy.
Yeah, and that's something that we used to do in school too, high school, college, whatever, because interval training can be HIIT, and blow the whistle, and you're going as hard as you can on the bench press or whatever. Then you get a rest period, and then you do it again, and you rotate or whatever. So that's a type of interval training that is commonly done, has been done in the gym for 50 years, probably more than that. Just that's how long I've been doing it.
Well, I think if you're new to this type of stuff and you're hearing these, because a lot of people will think, oh, I heard HIIT training's the best. Well, it depends, like you're saying, on the variables for the person. But look at your applications on your phones. Look at your smartwatches. I bet you a nickel the stuff we're downloading has the components within those applications, to you just punch in your information and it will create a HIIT circuit for you, and it's probably backed up with why they did it the way they did it, and so you don't have, it'll take the guesswork out of it for you, I guess is what I'm trying to say, so that you can take pretty much what you have and create that environment for the high intensity.
Yeah, that's great information on HIIT training, high intensity interval training. Brian Sanchez, Carson City Fitness, or did it again, Fitness for 10.
You own too many gyms, Steve.
Don't tell anybody. So Fitness for 10 in Carson City. So Brian, thanks for being with us.
Hey, thanks everybody. Have a great week.